All this canvas is black. It's not as quite as black as I had hoped it would be. But I think it'll be okay for what I want to do with it. I'm going to make a background for... I started yesterday working on some backgrounds for some Christmas pictures that I'm going to paint. So I did this background to create this sort of a board fence look. Hey, Billy. Hey, Jane. And then I think on that board picture, I don't know, there's going to be some kind of a Christmas lantern or something like that in the corner. And I made this background yesterday too, as well, and the lantern will be hanging from a tree branch. So there'll be some trees along here and a bunch of snow and those background trees, and this bright part here, the lantern will be right in the center, and then we'll brighten it a little bit more. None of this is dry, so it's starting to dry, but it's not ready for me to start sketching on yet. So I decided to go ahead and take today and do a couple more backgrounds. So the next background that I want to do, or try to do, is sort of a phthalo bluish background with a lot of white in it, and then there'll be a lot of snow, maybe some light shining down, maybe like a row of pine cones or something on the top, and then some snow at the bottom with the lantern sitting in the snow, something like that. Although maybe, I don't know, maybe we could have some. Well, I don't know. I think that sounds pretty good. We might could also have like a lantern, a row of lanterns, which I don't know. No. If I did that, I don't know what would be the focus. I'd have to think about that for a little bit. Hey, Steven. So, how are you guys doing today? So anyway, we're going to work on this blue background. So it'll be sort of a little bit of an abstract background, not too much. And then we'll let that dry, and then we'll come back and we'll sketch on top of that. This probably with some white chalk. And so much white I put in this. I don't want to wipe most of this liquid clear off. Not all of it, but a little bit. I don't want it to be, if it's too much liquid clear, your paint will just slide off of the canvas, and that's not what I'm looking for either. So, all right, let's start off with some phthalo blue. Using my glass palette today. I love that thing. I made it a couple months ago, and then I used it for a little while, and then I switched over to back to finish off a paper palette pad that I had. I finished that off, and now I'm back to this is all phthalo blue going on black canvas. I switched back to my glass palette, and I'm so glad to be back on it. It's so easy to take care of. I can keep paint on it for weeks at a time without it drying. I just throw a piece of plastic over, like a saran wrap stuff over the top of it. So I know you guys probably can't see too much of this just yet. We're going to use this phthalo blue as the shadow in the snow. But we're also going to use it for the background in the sky. Well, there won't be a lot of sky, but you know. I kind of have a little bit of a sketch of this, but I'll put it over there on my desk, so I may try to glance back there and take a look, but we'll see. Hey Gary, my camera is sitting behind me and I don't have my other monitor up today, so I keep looking back at you guys. I'll talk to you as I go. Hey Gary. Okay, so on with the background. So now we've got a regular, just a regular canvas, economy canvas, with 3 coats of black gesso on it, 2 coats of white gesso, and then 3 coats of black gesso. That'll be a pretty good ground for this. It's got a little bit of liquid clear on it, and then just some phthalo blue, just brushed all over. All right, now we're going to start working on building this background for this snow scene. I'll make any notes on that. Yeah, sort of. All right, not too much though. All right, let me wipe this off a little bit. I've still got some yellow on here from the backgrounds yesterday. Yeah, so Alright. So I don't want to contaminate my titanium white this morning. So just put it off. See me wiping my fingers off. You're probably using baby wipes most all the time. They work really good for getting all the paint off your fingers. Okay. Used to use a 1-inch brush here. I'm kind of going to have like the main light's going to be kind of like right here. In this third of the canvas, but there's going to be some light all the way across. So we'll kind of lighten this canvas in different places. And then we'll come back and start adding to it. I'm using this swirly stroke here. We'll blend all this quite a bit. Remember, of course, that we're building a background, not a full painting here. This is something new I've just wanted to try. We'll create kind of a vignette, a little bit of a vignette kind of thing. And then we're right along in here, we're going to start putting snow down right along in here. Some of this kind of put a little reminder in there to me. Alright, let's clean the brush. Hey Amy, you guys have any questions, just pop them up there. So kind of my thoughts here is that on this one, now I made the background yesterday. You guys can look at the pictures in the photo album of the works in progress there that we did yesterday on this. Now I'm going to kind of start working on this area here. And what we're going to have here, some light kind of shining down. Whew, I'm clean the brush a lot. You guys can watch me see me clean the brush a lot. Now, I don't want to get too much paint built up here, so I'm going to go up here and I'm going to wipe some of this paint back just a little bit. We're still keeping that value up in there, but that'll help us get the color in. So we want to continue to brighten this up. Okay. And you can see this paint sticking quite better. Quite better. What the heck kind of word is that? Sticking better. Just going in with the same brush. Haven't even wiped it out. Just kind of coming back down in this blue. Kind of work some of this out. And there's going to be some snow in here, but I'm not going to put it in yet because I want to put like maybe some pine boughs up here and maybe a couple of pine cones, and then, you know, right along in here we're going to put like a lantern of some kind. So we don't need to put a lot of color in here, but we do want to put some color in here. I'm going to keep it kind of abstract because there'll be snow coming down in the final painting. So I have to set this up on the shelf. It'll probably take it a day or so to dry, probably 2 days. And the reason I say 2 days, it takes titanium white a little longer to dry than other paints. All right, so I want to do a little bit more with this one, and then we'll move on to, I'm going to make another, I'll make that board one that I did yesterday. So that might be interesting if you're ever interested in how to create like a board, plank board look for something that you're working on. I think I'll go ahead and start putting in some of the dark, a little bit of the dark for pine bells, because there's no reason not to put them in just yet. Hey Sharon! I missed anybody's comments? Let me see. Yeah, it's going to be a night Christmas painting. Sure is. It's going to be a snow scene. It'll be snow like along this horizon. There'll be a small Christmas lantern with a candle in it right here. Some pine boughs across the top here, with maybe some pine cones in there. And then snow coming down everywhere. So I think though I want to add a little bit more. I'll just start right here. Just want to use up some of this white before I come in here. Add a little bit more light just right here. Now let's Alright, let's put a little bit of dark up in here now. So we're going to use some phthalo blue, some alizarin crimson, and a little bit of purple. A little bit of dioxazine purple. Like I say, this is just the background. We'll let this dry before we start trying to paint over some of this. For instance, we'll put the pine cones in. Alright, and you know, the lantern's going to go like right in here. So okay. All right. So I want to do another one. I got another black canvas here. These Christmas paintings will be a series of 4. There'll be 4 of them all together. So 2 of them are going to have a sort of a will look like a board background. So let me show you that, and then I'll show you. And then we're going to do one, just to show you how to do it. In case you ever want to use a board type background. So here's, anyway, any questions on this one first of all? Hey, Carney. All right, so here's the board one that we did yesterday. Now, you can use this type of background for all sorts of different types of painting. You could use it for the same technique for putting a tabletop house together or something of that nature. Or you could use it to if you wanted to paint a fence in the background, it's still wet, but you know, in vertical you can create planking like that. So let's do that real quick. Well, not real quick, but it'll take as long as it takes, but let's do that. Let's do something like that. We got a space to put wet canvases. My studio is not huge. I need one about 4 times bigger than the one I have. I have 5 paintings in progress, so and then I've got 3 wet ones sitting around drying, not counting the backgrounds that I just did yesterday. So, okay, let's do this though. Hey, Bill. Oh, I don't know if I have any talent. I'm just persistent. I just work at it. You know, I spent 30 years writing novels. Still doing that. I still do that. You just have to stay with it. Okay, so let's see. Let's use a little bit of. I'll tell you what. First of all, let's just make a couple of guidelines. Let me get my little stick here. There's my little chalk. Get my chalk in here. Or is it somewhere else? Yeah, here's my chalk. All right, let's make a couple of guidelines here. Don't have to be completely straight. I'll just kind of wing it here. Give me a little bit of an idea. These will disappear really fast, but that'll work. Okay, so that's just chalk. Full paint will cover that right up. We're not too worried about that. All right, so let's get some liquid clear, I reckon. Now, you probably have to end up putting the chalk lines back on. But let's do that. Put some liquid clear on here. That'll allow us to blend these paints pretty easy. Now, we're going to put some on, and then we're going to probably wipe most of it off. But okay, we'll get enough getting there on the fibers that will be. Oh yeah, this was the one that I had planned for the. It's like, what is that on my canvas? There's actually tape on this canvas. So once we get the board painted on here, I've already got the lantern sort of marked off. You might even be able to see this one better than the one that I just showed you. Hey, Bill. All right. So let's wipe some of this back off now. So we don't want too much of this liquid clear on here because it'll make the canvas so slick you won't be able to paint on it. There's a video in my library on how to make liquid clear for yourself if you want to make it yourself instead of buying it. I like to make most of my mediums because I like to control the creative process all the way through as much as I can. So this canvas is one that I've stretched myself. And unlike the one I just showed you, which was just an economy canvas. But... Alright, so let's do this. Any questions before we start? There's about a 20-second lag, so I want to wait a second, see if anybody has any questions. No? Okay. Press on. If you come up with some questions, just ask. I'll be glad to answer any that you got. All right, so we're going to start off with, I've got some phthalo blue and some titanium white on the palette already. I'm going to add to that, let's add some ultramarine blue. We might come back and add some Prussian blue in a little bit, maybe. I don't know about that. Let's add some dark sienna to the palette. I got a little bit of alizarin crimson left over there, so I think I'll leave that there. Maybe we'll add some cat orange as we go. Let's see. Alright. I'm going to use a filbert to do this. Let me see which one I'm going to use. I'll use this one. So this is a number 7. I'm using, doesn't matter what size brush you use. You could also use a flat if you want to use a flat instead of a, which, you know, some people like that a little better. So let's start off with a little bit of this blue. Now I'm going to puddle paint this. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera. Probably not. Let me move it out a little bit, like right there. So we've got some ultramarine blue and a little bit of titanium white. Now, in order to create this board look, I'm going to pull down, but I'm going to hold the brush out here by the end because I don't want to, when I first start off, I don't want to, I just want the brush to travel along the canvas at its own rate. I'm just creating this wood grain look. You know, it doesn't have to be, none of this has to be perfectly straight, or any of that kind of stuff. You just, very light touch. And you can imagine, since I haven't reloaded this brush, that it's, you know, we're getting just minor amounts of paint on the canvas. I'll start off with. Now, make a little mistake right here. You see this part, how it's kind of curving out. The reason for that is because instead of moving my arm down, I move my brush down. I move my wrist down. So it's okay. It's early in the painting. We can fix that. Now we got the objects taped right here, so I'm going to kind of paint from the bottom of this. Bring this up. I'm going to add a little bit of brown to this. Let's start over again. This is actually dark sienna. So that blue on the brown, or on the sienna, is kind of creating a gray color, and that's good. In a minute, I think maybe one more brush load here. We'll clean this brush, or at least wipe it out. I'm kind of applying some pressure here because I want it to go in on the edge of this canvas. Usually that's going to be covered up by a frame, but I still like to paint the edge of the canvas. No questions yet? Kidding? Good enough. So I'm just going to wipe this out. We're going to go with some sienna and some titanium white in a little bit of a different puddle. That's good. All right, now. You don't always have to start at the edge. Sometimes you can start in the middle, and that's fine too. We're going to paint some knot holes and stuff in this before we get done. And of course, when your paint starts to run out, be sure you stop and reload. When teaching students, I think probably the mistake they have the most that I see, or happy little accident, usually doesn't happen because they don't have enough paint in their brush. And so what happens is, rather than going back and picking up more paint, what do you think they do? They push harder on the brush, right? And then you never get what you want like that. That board's coming along pretty good. We don't want to cover up all this dark. We want some of that dark to stay in there. We're going to use that to our advantage here in a little while. A little more to our advantage in a little while. I'm painting right up onto this taped area because I don't want to create a halo around it. Right. So we're kind of letting the canvas, take what it wants, and then it gives us the rest back, and then we're just kind of building up the layers here. Definitely wet on wet for sure. Alright, let's take a look at that now. Yeah. So I'm going to blend these colors down here just a little bit. So I'm going to go back to the blue, and a little bit of titanium on it. Not too worried about too much blue right here because it's going to be snow right here. There's a lantern that's taped off right here. So, alright, that's pretty good. Alright, now let's blend this just a little bit. Not much. Hi, Diane. Still no questions? Wow. I must be a really good teacher. Just kidding. Alright, let's see. Where did I see? Oh, yeah. I have a little bit of blue in here. course, I got all different shades here, all different colors and values because I'm pulling multiple layers across here. All right. Let's start adding I'll tell you what, let's add the board lines so we can see a little better as to where that goes. I'm going to do that with some ivory black, I think, and an angle brush. Use whatever brush you want. Then we'll add a couple knot holes, and then we'll blend this a little bit more. See what, all right, we'll do that before I'll tell you what, let's just go ahead and do that first. It's a fan brush. There's 3 hairs and some hair here. So as I'm going, I'm picking up some paint, as you can see here on the brush, not a lot. But I'm kind of, wherever I see a stroke, I try to kind of overlap that, half and half, and pull that out. Now, if you're new, you might think, oh, it's going to all smear together. But no. I'm going a little easier than that. A little lighter than that. All right, let's start that. Now we can add the lines. Let me drink down here. Yeah. All right, so next we want to add some board lines and just where the boards are separated, and then a couple little knots. What happened here? Get back up here. Okay. Any questions? No? Hey, Diane. Let me scroll here and make sure I didn't miss any questions. Hey, June. Okay. Now, you'll see as you start to add these board lines, I'm going to freehand these board lines, but if I can remember where I put them, if I can see where I put them. If I didn't, if I can't, then it's no big deal. Now, in adding these board lines, you want to make sure of 2 things to the best of your ability. One is sharpen your brush down, the edges of your brush down. You can do that by make sure you wiggle your brush through your paint. And then second, just try to be as straight as you can. Okay, let's see. So I'll just do this like this. I'm going to paint right over the tape. And then when you start to run out of paint, stop and reload. Sharpen it again. Then back up just a little bit. And then just bring it on through. You don't have to worry so much about the line being, your board lines being, completely the same width, because they're just not like that in real life. Right. I mean, you can worry about it if you want to, but I wouldn't if I were you. All right, let's see. Now this painting is going to be done in phases. The first phase was to just figure out where the lantern was going to go, and once I figured that out, do the background, and then come back after it dries and paint the lantern. Because when I paint the lantern, we'll be adding a lot of snow to this, and that's going to go over the top of this fence. So I think I like that okay. All right, put a couple of knot holes in here and there. Won't do me any good to put knuckles in the middle of the lantern, so let's just kind of. I think let's snip this up. I think I can do that a little better. And just kind of place these, wherever you want. Don't get too carried away. And let's just put a couple little bit of. We don't have to put too much board cracking looking stuff in here because we've got a lot of that when we painted it. When we painted it the way that we painted it, but I'm going to add a couple little accent lines, just wherever I see. I think would look good. Maybe one like right here. Especially in a place that can create a lot of contrast. Okay. And again, I don't want it too carried away. I don't know why I'm putting one down there. There's going to be snow all down there, but that's okay. I forgot about that. Just having too much fun. All right. So let's take this. Well, let's see. Well, tell you what. Let's check this tape. We might want to wait for this to dry before we take this tape off. Let's see what we got here. So I'll start to take this tape off, and if it looks like it's going to peel paint, I'm not going to. I'll just wait. And I'll do it on the next video. So the lantern is going to be the centerpiece of this. So it takes up most of a good 1/3 of the paint. But we'll need to go back and address this gesso stuff. Now, I'll talk about these little black spots in a minute. They're not that big a problem to cover up once they're dry and you're ready to paint. But I'll tell you how to avoid doing them. How to avoid getting them. It's been a while since I taped something, so I didn't really think about that. So my loss is your gain. Not going to really be a problem at all because of the all this is going to be overpainted. But when you put your tape on, if you want a really sharp edge, use this stuff. This is Liquitex matte gel. You put the tape on before you start painting, before you put the gesso on. And where the tape is, just paint this on the edge like an overlap off the tape onto the canvas before you put your gesso on. And then, because this is acrylic, just like gesso, so you put that on, and it will create a barrier that will then stick to the tape. So when you pull the tape off, it's going to be a super straight edge. Again, that's Liquitex Professional Matte Gel. So I didn't do that, and it's just going to cause me a little extra work, but it's not that big a deal. It's not a big deal at all. So anyway, there's the fence background, just like the one I showed you the other day. And of course, we did the snow background earlier, the blue one. And if you didn't see it, you can rewind this video and check it out. She'll be back up online there shortly. So I gotta let this stuff dry, and then I have 5 paintings to get underway. I've got the 4 lantern paintings, and then I have this winter scene also to paint, which is underpainted right now in a Brene fashion. But we'll be glazing that over, and we'll have a video on that. So here's the board we just did. Here's another board that I did yesterday, so you guys can see it without the, if you want to see it without the lanterns being posted on it. And this one I decided I want to do something different. I always doing something different. So I'm going to actually sketch the lantern, a different lantern in this corner, a little bit smaller too, like right in here, using white chalk. And just because I want to try different things. I'm always trying to do different things. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and thanks for watching. Hope you'll look at my YouTube channel. It's the same thing, Ben Stivers Fine Art. I could use subscribers. And I hope you guys will like these videos. And if you have something in particular you'd like to see, like how do you do trees or how do you do anything, just ask me, and I'll be glad to do a video on it. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.